Hello everybody, this is my Subnautica. I'm not doing a playthrough on this one, I just wanted to show kind of the state of my world, because I went and I found those metal farms recently, and I do mean recently. All of the progress I'm about to show you happened last night, but I found them and I built them all. And I had them all set to titanium for a bit because I just wanted to see how crazy you could go on a base. And the answer is kind of crazy, kind of wackadoodle. I had no point to what I was doing. I was just kind of testing the limits of this stuff, and so I just started building. I found out that you can just leave some stuff suspended in the middle of nowhere if you build up to it first. So usually you need supports, building that can have supports, but if you do it like that, then you can just, like, I don't know, eventually branch into anywhere, maybe. It does come with a couple of problems, perhaps, because this room is impossible to deconstruct. It says it has attachments, but even when everything is detached, it is fully invulnerable and nothing happens to it. Also, when you put a bunch of tubes together, sometimes the inner lining of the tubes will just rise up like that, which is interesting. I am aware, I've seen like some crazy bases, and people who are much more focused on testing Subnautica 2's building system, they're way more focused on testing it than I am. So, you know, I'm not trying to brag, but, you know, I decided to just start building out a corridor this way, and I think my point was that I wanted to get to the to my first base to see if I could connect them, and I didn't make it there. I got distracted, and I don't think I will make it there. But the amount of just way you can go is pretty cool. I learned actually from a thing today that I watched that the maximum amount of base you can have is like 300, I think. Well, no, because that one's 300. There's a maximum amount of base you can have in Subnautica 2, but it appears that I haven't reached that amount despite going and taking this corridor all the way across the chasm with the first collector Leviathan, and I'm just gonna keep walking to show you what that looks like. So that is kind of the whole journey, just walking it. And, you know, it doesn't take that long, but it's a little bit. And after getting to this point, I'm in the fire area, and you'll see that I came across a bit of an obstacle, something in my way. So I was gonna have to build up anyway, but once I did, I just kind of kept going for it. Quite a lot. Whoa. Now how about we see what that looks like? One thing I would kind of like in the full version of the game maybe is to be able to hold down A so you can climb multiple stories at a time. Because right now, you just step off and then go right back on, and it's really not that much of a pain, but it would be better, I feel like, if you could hold the A. we're just going up. And we're still going up. There was a guy I saw that made a way bigger tower than this by extending out a room, placing a small cylinder, and then climbing back into a hatch. I didn't do that. I didn't have, you know, he did it in creative mode. I did this in survival mode. So I think mine's still pretty cool. But there's a nice view of the tree. And, you know, just look around. It's pretty nice. But if we want to jump out here, this is how tall the tower got by the end. Pretty sweet. Oh, whoa, whoa! I actually haven't scanned this guy yet. That is crazy. No, don't knock me away. Come on. Yay! I've been eating, the eggs. But I thought they came from the guys that swam up top. Nothing's gonna kill me, right? You might be wondering how I got the tower up that tall. I didn't do any of the extending stuff, so like maybe it's a bit of a question. I would put out hatches once I got to the tallest part I could, and then it lets you build 2 stories above where you're standing. So what I would do is I'd build the 2 stories above, put the ladders in, and then once I could get to the hatch, I would just do this. Once you, you know, it's a bit, I could probably get a little higher, but using the dash and the air bladder in single player mode, I think you can manipulate it even more in multiplayer with frame rate stuff. But in single player mode, you actually get pretty high doing that. Like I might be able to add 1 more story even on top of there. But yeah, that's what I did, and I did it all with those metal farms because they, if I remember correctly, they all give you 5 titanium a pop every 2 minutes, and that is quite a bit of titanium once you put it to somewhere to use. The only problem actually that I faced, and I'll see if I can activate it again right now. The only problem I faced doing this stuff was that I shrank one of the walls. Yep. If you shrink one of the walls this far away from all your power sources, it looks like it completely deloads the connection or something like that. So you're not gonna have any power on the base if you deconstruct, maybe, or maybe just shrink. I don't know why. It's totally normal when you add to it. Nothing changes when you add to the base, but when you shrink or maybe deconstruct, the connection is taken away and you're left with a powerless base. Luckily, I can make the walk close enough to my like hydro generators or hydroelectric generators, or whatever you call them. I can make the walk there without dying of oxygen deprivation. I've done it once, but that's, you know, that's kind of what I was just working on one time, one day, and I just thought it was kind of interesting, wanted to share it. It's nothing crazy like some people have, but I thought it was fun, and all in the game without creative mode or anything to do with that. It's just all stuff that I could do normally. So, you know, maybe you thought that was kind of cool. Oh, also, I want to say, while I was looking for the things, the bacteria for those metal farms, I was scouring that place, the metal farm place, wherever it's called, with the yellow pools, and I didn't actually know that the stuff was inside the metal pools. So I was just looking around. I figured they'd be green. They are not green, they're yellow, inside of the yellow pools. But I'm always getting confused with stuff in this game, like with the conduit crystals too. Anyways, while I was looking around, I realized I found out that there is a hole in the map around that area. So I went into it, and then I found out that you can totally build under the map, which is where maybe the being able to detach parts of the base once you build far enough to have no supports, maybe that kind of thing would come in handy underneath the base. So there's that. I hope you enjoyed. This was my Subnautica 2 base. Also, this happened on my way to show off that hole in the map.
Captain.